How often should women over 40 lift weights in order to lose body fat? So if you are on a body transformation journey, you're like, I want to look fit, I want to look toned, I want to look sculpted. So you are on this body transformation journey where you know that maybe you need to lose a little bit of body fat and you're wondering, how does weight training, how does strength training fit into all of this? This video is for you, okay? So if you're a woman over 40 and you are on a body transformation journey, you're trying to lose body fat, the answer isn't going to be go do more cardio. The answer is also not going to be go and do weightlifting 7 days a week and go balls to the wall, okay? There's a sweet spot in the middle here that you want to find that works for your lifestyle, but also matches up with your body transformation goals. So if you're trying to look what I call fit AF, you're trying to look a certain way, there's a certain amount of weight training that you can do each week that's really going to help support you and get you to your goals, okay? So let's talk a little bit about what the exact weekly range would be depending on where you are in your personal fitness journey, your personal body transformation journey. It's going to be different for everybody. There's no right or wrong answer here. It's going to be a little bit different for everybody. We're going to talk about why that range works over the age of 40. Why is it different over the age of 40? And then just how to structure your week based on your goals, where you are right now. You've picked a number of days a week you're going to weight train. Then how do you structure your week? The short answer is this. If you are a woman over 40 and you have not worked out a day in your life, maybe it's been 20 years since you last been to the gym. Maybe it's even been 30 years since you've last been to the gym. Even 10 years, I would start with 2 days a week of full body workouts. So you might do a little bit of upper body, a little bit of lower body, some core, and maybe some light cardio. 45 minutes, 60 minutes. This is really going to fit into your lifestyle. We're just focused here on getting into the habit of working out, getting it scheduled into your day, making sure that you're setting aside enough time to make sure that you can get the workouts in. And 2 days a week at 30 minutes, 45 minutes, even an hour is very doable for somebody trying to add something into an already packed schedule. All right. Maybe you've got a high stress job. Maybe you've got a lot of responsibilities in your personal life. You got a lot of things going on and you're just like, how the heck am I supposed to add one more thing to my calendar? We're talking about 2 hours a week here of full body workouts. You're going to get your bang for your buck. And we're going to talk a little bit about stress management in a bit and how you might be able to find some time to fit that into your already busy schedule. Okay. So 2 days a week is really going to be great for just getting into the habit, figuring out the routine, learning how some of these movements, these strength training movements feel in your body, getting comfortable with weights. Maybe you're doing this at home. Maybe you're going to the gym. You're just getting comfortable going to the gym, but you're just getting into this routine of like, okay, I'm working out. All right. This is also where you might buy yourself some cute outfits that make you feel good. They make you feel confident. They make you like, yeah, I got it. I still got it, right? So 2 days a week is really great for you. Like you're just like, I just need to get started. Okay, 2 days a week. Okay. 3 days a week is a really great spot. If you have been working out, you've been doing some weightlifting, maybe you've been doing like a yoga sculpt class, maybe you've been doing F45 or burn body boot camp or something like this. You've been doing those maybe here and there sporadically, not super regularly, or maybe you are in a regular, maybe you're doing it once a week or twice a week. If you bump it up to 3 days a week, that's a really great spot for fat loss. 3 to even 4 days a week is a great spot for fat loss. The reason for this is because when you are on a fat loss journey, what you are trying to do is you're trying to protect the muscle that you already have, okay? So if you're eating in a calorie deficit, you're eating high protein, but in a calorie deficit in a way that is supporting your fat loss journey, what you want to do is lift weights in order to retain the muscle that you already have. You don't want to lose even more muscle. If you're eating in a calorie deficit and you're not eating enough protein and you're not strength training, that risk of muscle loss goes way up. By default, if you're eating in a calorie deficit, you're probably going to lose some muscle, but by lifting weights and eating high protein, you're slowing down how much muscle you're actually losing, okay? So 3 days a week, if you're on this fat loss journey, you've been working out 2-3 days a week or so, get into this routine of regular 3 days a week, you weight lift. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. We're gonna do the same thing here with the 2 days a week. You're gonna do upper body, lower body, core, maybe a little bit of cardio in the same workouts, okay? 3 days a week. Same thing here. We're still getting into this routine of working out, getting into the routine of going to the gym, getting into the routine of setting aside some time in your calendar. Super cute outfits. I always say super cute outfits are definitely going to help with the motivation to get there, right? But you're just working on the routine. You're working on the discipline here of 3 days a week, okay? Full body workouts. That's might be how you structure that. If you're like, nope, I'm ready to go to 4 days a week. I want to do 4 days a week. 4 days a week is also a really good spot for a lot of women for if you have fat loss goals, okay? If you are interested in doing a 4-day-a-week workout, you might do Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. You might do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You might do, like, you got a lot of different options here with 4 days a week. But to structure it, what you're going to do is 2 upper body days and 2 lower body days. So Monday might be upper body, Tuesday's lower body, Wednesday's a rest day, Thursday's upper body, Friday is lower body again. Saturday and Sunday, maybe the rest days, active recovery days. You go out, you do some walking, biking, light yoga, hiking, doing life, having fun, doing the things that you like to do. So 3 to 4 days a week is really going to be a good sweet spot for women who are on a fat loss journey. So if you are eating high protein, you're eating in a calorie deficit, you're trying to reveal the beautiful muscle that you have hidden underneath there, that strength training is really going to help preserve the muscle that you have. And if you're building muscle, you're eating, and so eating in a way that supports your goals of building muscle, that weight training, the strength training is really going to help to that process of building that muscle. Okay. So I do have a arm sculpting program specifically. I call it the Top Guns arm sculpting program. And we go in there in detail on the strength training that's needed to have strong, lean, sculpted arms. But then we also talk about some of the nutritional requirements as well. Okay, so you can do all the strength training in the world, but if you're not eating in a certain way that helps to reduce the body fat in your body to reveal said beautiful muscle, you won't necessarily have the look that maybe some of you are looking for. 5 days a week, this is going to be for advanced lifters. These are going to be people that might be training for something. These are people that have been lifting weights for a length of time. These are people that have solid recovery habits. So when we talk about how many days a week should you lift weights as a woman over 40 who's on a fat loss journey, it's not always the 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 60 minutes that you're lifting weights. It's how do you feel the next day? How do you feel 2 days later? I'm one of those people, I get sore 2 days later. Let me know in the comments below if you're one of those people too. What you don't want is like you work out on Monday and you work out so intense. Your workout is just so intense that like it's Friday and you still can't lift your arms up overhead to wash your hair. Okay? Like if you're that sore, you want to adjust the intensity of your workouts, but second of all, you want to work on the recovery routine, okay, your recovery habits. People that are lifting weights 5 days a week, these are people that are like they've been conditioned, they've got some good solid muscle, they've got good habits outside of the gym, outside of lifting weights. They got the recovery situation down pat. I'm going to talk about that in just a second. So why does 3 to 4 days a week work really well for women over 40? First of all, what I'm going to say is women over 40 are freaking busy. We're all busy. We are all busy. So trying to fit this in, you're like looking at your calendar going, Heather, how do I fit this into my already busy schedule? Okay. I think 3 to 4 days a week is a realistic goal. I'm one of those, I shoot for 5 days a week. If I get 4, I'm happy. If I get 3, it's like, yeah, okay, something was going on, but I still got 3 days a week in. Okay. So if you've got this on your schedule where it's like, I'm going to shoot for 4, but I get 3, that's great. Okay. So it's, as a woman over 40, it's like we're busy. We got responsibilities. Some of you have little kids still. Some of you have grandkids, right? Some of us are in different phases of our careers. Some of you have different responsibilities, different family responsibilities. We're in a phase of life where the children need you and the parents need you too. So it's like there's just a lot of things pulling you in 1,000 different directions. But you also know, you also have this mindset of, I need to be healthy and strong and fit to be able to do the things that I need to be able to do. The things I need to be able to do, take care of your family, take care of your career, take care of all the things, all the responsibilities, but then also the things that you want to do. Do you like to hike? Do you like to play with your grandkids in the backyard? Do you like, what kinds of things do you like to do that you want to continue being able to do? If you're in this mindset of, I'm in this phase of life where I know this is important, 3 days a week is going to get you there. The other thing is that muscle helps to preserve your metabolism. All right. So as women, we have hormonal things that happen. Not going to go into details of that here, but we start to lose muscle as early as our late 20s. So we, just by the nature of the aging process, we start to lose valuable, beautiful muscle in our late 20s. And as you start to lose muscle, that impacts your metabolism. The more muscle you have on your body, the higher your metabolism will be. The more calories you're going to burn just existing. And so if you have more muscle, that's going to help to preserve your metabolism. So by strength training, you're doing one of two things. You are preserving the muscle that you already have built, that you already have, or you're actually building new muscle. You're eating in such a way and you're training in such a way that you're actually putting on new muscle, okay? And that's really going to help to preserve your metabolism. What happens if you don't lift enough weights or you don't lift weights at all? All right. The first thing is your muscle loss is going to accelerate. All right. As I said earlier, just by nature of becoming older and wiser, our bodies start to lose body fat without some sort of resistance training. Strength training, weightlifting is a really good form of resistance training. We're resisting gravity. And so if you don't have enough resistance training in your weekly routines, this is going to accelerate muscle loss. And as a result, by having less muscle, by default, then your metabolism starts to drop. So what that means is just existing, you're going to burn less calories throughout the day. This is why you see some people, it's like they just eat all the time. They seem like they just eat all the time. That's because their metabolism is revving, it's burning, it's going. They've got the muscle to support that metabolism. All right. And then muscle, if you are on a weight loss journey, you're on a body transformation journey, and you're like, I want to lose weight, I want to see a specific number on the scale, which is just one data point in the whole grand scheme of things of our personal wellness journeys. That number on between your toes is just one data point. Maybe you want to fit into a dress, maybe you want to fit into a swimsuit or an outfit, and you get down to that weight, and then but you're still not, maybe some people might not be satisfied with how their body looks, like how you look naked. Like that's the key. You stand in front of the mirror and look at yourself naked and you're like, okay, I'm thin. I'm at the weight I want to be at. I'm in the clothes that I want to be able to fit, but I want to look sculpted. I want to look toned. I want to look fit. I want to look like, put whatever word you want in there. By lifting weights, that's going to give you that look that you might be looking for. So if you're looking for strong, lean, sculpted arms, you want that visible definition. That is having enough muscle on your body with low enough body fat so that you can see it. So if you're not lifting weights, you're not going to keep that muscle. You're not going to build new muscle. So you're not going to have that sort of that athletic look that you might be looking for. Not everybody wants that athletic look. It's totally okay. Some people, many women are on a journey where it's like, I just want to look a certain way, and that is okay. All right. So let's talk a little bit about what happens if you lift too much then. Okay. What happens if you lift too much? Now, cortisol by nature, there's a lot going around the internet right now about cortisol. I am not a hormone expert. I don't claim to be. What I will say is that cortisol is intended to rise and fall throughout the day. That is how cortisol works, okay? Cortisol rises and falls with stress. Good stress, bad stress. So when you work out, that's good stress on your body. You want some of that stress. That's what makes you stronger is stress, okay? And so your cortisol raises. But by nature, it comes down. This is where the stress management comes into place, where your cortisol levels come down. But if you're lifting too much, I'll give you my own personal example. This is my personal example, not anybody else's. I was training for a bodybuilding competition and I was lifting 5 days a week and I was lifting really hard, very intense workouts, but I also had a really super stressful job. And I felt like my body just never came out of this fight or flight state. I did yoga every single Sunday. I would leave the yoga studio just feeling like heaven. I would go to yoga at 4:00 on Sundays and I would feel like just floating on clouds and then right back into it Monday morning. Okay. And I immediately would go back into this fight or flight mode. So I just never felt like my body came out of this fight or flight mode. So sometimes just taking a step back from the intensity of your workouts can really help with that. If you lift too much, the recovery in between your training sessions can be impacted. So people that are lifting weights 5 days a week, they've really dialed in that recovery routine, that the recovery habits that are needed to be able to lift 5 days a week. Like I said earlier, if you lift on Monday and Friday, you still can't lift your arms up overhead to wash your hair, you want to take a look at, first of all, your intensity of your workouts, but then also your recovery. Let's talk a little bit about some things to consider for recovery. So when you are strength training, you're a woman over 40, you're on a fat loss journey, you've started doing some strength training, it's important to understand that your recovery is just as important as the actual workout itself. Recovery is part of the plan, okay? We don't feel guilty for taking rest days. We build them into the plan. We take them, we do them. Active recovery days, light walking, maybe get on a bike, do some light yoga, something like that, okay? You build that into the plan, okay? So when you are lifting weights, you are essentially tearing the muscle fibers. And during sleep is when those muscle fibers repair and you grow new muscle fibers. So sleep, getting adequate sleep is going to be hugely important for your recovery in between your workouts. 7 to 9 hours of sleep, easier said than done. I'm at that age. I'm 48. I'm almost 49. I have some nights where it's like 4 hours is what I'm getting. Some nights it's 8.5 is what I'm getting. I get it. I totally get it. It's easier said than done. But when you've got your other recovery habits in place, sometimes it doesn't necessarily make up for the lack of sleep, but it still helps to support that, okay? So it helps to support your recovery so that at your next workout, you can give it your all in your next workout, okay? 7 to 9 hours of sleep, 1 gram of protein in your diet per day, 1 gram of protein per pound of goal body weight. If you're at your goal body weight, then you eat that number of grams of protein per day. For ease of numbers, you want to weigh 150 pounds. Your goal weight's 150 pounds. You're at 150 pounds. 150 grams of protein per day. That's really going to help to support your muscle growth, those muscle tissues, and that's going to help support your recovery. Stress management. When we talk about longevity, when we talk about being a fit person over the age of 40, over the age of 50, over 60, into our 70s, 80s, 90s, beyond, we can break things up into 4 quadrants, okay? Nutrition, activity, sleep, and stress, okay? Now, stress management is key to being a healthy, strong, fit person over the age of 40. Now, I did say stress management. I did not say get rid of your stress. So stress is something that impacts your fitness much more than I think more people give it credit for. Okay? If you are chronically in this fight or flight mode, like you just feel like you're on all the freaking time, like that is impacting your personal fitness journey. That is impacting the progress that you're making in your personal fitness journey, okay? So finding different strategies to manage your stress. What kinds of things can you say no to? What kinds of things can you take off of your calendar? What kinds of things that can you add into your life, back into your life? Think about the things that you used to like to do as a kid, maybe as a teenager. You used to like to do them, and just at somewhere along the line, like you just got out of doing it. Can you come back to that thing? Did you play the piano? Can you play the piano again for 20 minutes a couple days a week as part of your stress management plan? Okay. So when I'm working with clients one-on-one, even in our group coaching programs, we talk about stress. What kinds of things can you do to help lower your stress levels? It's not getting rid of your stress, but what kinds of things can you do to lower your stress levels? Now, if we're doing things like saying no, removing things off your calendars that doesn't need to be on your calendars, that starts to free up your time that you can use then to focus in on yourself, that you can focus in on your weightlifting, that you can focus in on spending time for yourself and doing the things that you love to do. Another recovery strategy that you can implement is something called deload weeks. And this is where every 6 to 8 weeks or so, you build this into your plan and you say, I'm going to still work out this week, but it's going to be at a lower level of intensity. All right. So when I still had my period, I would, that week before my period, feel like total shit. That was the week I would always take a deload week. I'd still go to the gym. I would still work out, but it was at a level of intensity that was just like, I'm just here. I'm just existing. Okay. But part of your plan is take a deload week, still working out, just a lower level of intensity. You plan for that. Okay. And that's going to help with your recovery as well. Because then think about like times where maybe you've taken a vacation and you're still active on your vacation, but then you come back and you're like, I feel super strong. I feel super good. That's essentially a deload week. You can plan deload weeks around vacations. You can plan deload weeks around your cycle. There's different ways to do that. And then making sure that your hydration's on point, that you get adequate hydration. So getting enough water into your body is really going to help with your muscle growth, with your muscle repair, with your sleep, with your hunger hormones. It's really going to help with a lot of different things in your body. And I personally think that most of us are probably a little bit dehydrated. So make sure that you're drinking enough water. I've got these fun Operation Fit AF water bottles. This is fun. If you're not familiar with Operation Fit AF, go to operationfitaf.com. We're not going to talk about that right now, though. Recovery becomes part of the plan. Recovery is very powerful, okay? It's a powerful part of your plan. We don't feel guilty for it, okay? It's part of your plan. It's not passive. It's recovery is the plan, okay? So when you are getting to this point where it's like, okay, I'm ready to live 4 days a week. I'm ready. I want to go 5 days a week. I think I want to do a bodybuilding competition. I want to train for a fitness thing, a marathon, a whatever it is, right? Building in that recovery portion is going to be part of your plan, guaranteed. So if you're asking the question, how many days per week should a woman over 40 lift weights for body fat? We're not talking about like how many days a week can you just punish your body? You can just go to the gym and just go crazy, right? That's not what we're talking about here. It's about how often can you stimulate your muscle? Can you do the weightlifting and then recover from it? Okay. So start with the 2 days a week. You haven't worked out in 30 years. You haven't worked out in 10 years, heck, even 5 years. Okay. Start with 2 days a week. Get in the routine, get it back into the gym, get back at you got your dumbbell set, dust it off. Get yourself a nice, cute outfit that makes you feel amazing and get back into that routine. And bump it up to 3 days a week, full body workouts. Some of you might even want to bump it up to 4 days a week. And then you might get to this point. I know that some of you have found me because of my bodybuilding journey and sharing that here on YouTube. You get to a point where it's like, yeah, maybe I want to do that. Maybe I want to do a bodybuilding competition. You're going to bump it up 4 to 5 days a week of weight training. It's so important, though, in between those number of days per week that you're doing the weightlifting, that you've got the recovery habits dialed the freak in. Okay. All right. So this all ties back to what I talk about with being strong, healthy, and fit AF over the age of 40 so we can build our strong bodies leading us into our 70s, 80s, 90s, and beyond. I've got a playlist here on YouTube all about how to be strong and lean over the age of 40. Check out that playlist. Like this video, subscribe to my channel, and I'll talk to you all soon.